Dynamite download.
I had a lot of fun writing this one and thinking about this for all week. I've been texting SPD and Crayfish all week about, hey, what do you guys think about this? You guys think this is a good idea, right? And so this match is going to be Brian Cage versus Wardlow. This is a singles run for Wardlow for the FTW Championship. This is a Twitter suggestion, and this is Booking by Bonds. Welcome to the first episode of Booking by Bonds. And so without further ado, this is Wardlow's single run against Brian Cage.
Wow.
And before we start, we have to clean up some stuff because there's some storylines going on that involve Wardlow and Cage right now. Specifically, there's inner circle infighting and stuff, and Team Taz's feud with Darby, which I don't think Team Taz's feud with Darby is going to affect Cage's championship very much. It's not going to really affect the FTW championship. It's fine. But we need to get Wardlow away from MJF because while Wardlow works for MJF, any title he wins belongs to MJF. So Wardlow can't win anything. Yes, sir.
It's true.
So this is what's going to happen. Wardlow costs MJF something, either a title shot or a tag match with Jericho. However that goes, we're going to see him cost him, and MJF is going to fire Wardlow on Dynamite. Wardlow's going to get in his face, and MJF's going to say, "You don't work here anymore. Get the hell out of my ring, or you'll leave in a cop car."
Oh, God.
So Wardlow begrudgingly leaves and gets taken out by security. He's out. He's gone. We don't see him for a few weeks, maybe a month. Draw this out. He's gone. Like, we don't see Wardlow. There's no mention of him, nothing. But then Cody Rhodes starts hinting at bringing in somebody, the Nightmare Family, he knows can wrestle, that he knows he knows what a good commodity is. So we get hints. And after a few weeks, Wardlow comes out with Cody. And he's gone completely opposite. He's not with MJF anymore. He's with the guy MJF betrayed. He's no longer with
going
his guy.
full circle, bro.
Full circle, exactly.
MJF Cody feud was one of the best ever, too.
Exactly.
So good.
So now we have MJF's muscle with Cody instead. And then we see Cody and Wardlow do a couple tag matches. MJF comes out and starts talking trash. Like, hey, you don't work here anymore. You're a loser. I fired you. That kind of stuff. MJF ends up costing them a couple matches. But Wardlow ends up being the man. He fights MJF one-on-one and he goes out on top. He beats MJF clean, and Wardlow starts going on a big push. We see him every week just squashing everybody. And while this is going on, Team Taz is in the background looking for an opponent for Brian Cage. When's the last time Cage has defended the FTW championship? It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So exactly. So Cage is looking for an opponent, and Team Taz is scouting. Taz is on commentary for every match. Oh, he's talking trash. Oh, this guy stinks. He might be a good opponent for Brian Cage. But every Wardlow match, Taz is talking trash about him the whole time, saying, "Oh, this guy's just a worse Brian Cage. He can't do what Cage can do. Cage was Impact champion. He's FTW champion. He's the guy." Damn. Right? Wardlow has nothing on him.
Wardlow starts getting mad
about this. Right? Yep. So he starts getting irritated, and he starts calling him out. Like, "Hey, what are you talking to me about this for? Like, I'm doing my best. I'm winning all these matches." And Team Taz starts coming out because of all of this hoopla. And they end up costing Wardlow when he finally gets an opportunity for gold against Eddie Kingston, because Eddie Kingston and him are in a match for an opportunity to fight Darby Allin for the TNT championship. So you get Kingston, who's, I love Eddie Kingston. He's a machine. You get him and Wardlow in a match. Wardlow is probably going to win this one, and they cost him. They get him counted out, and he's done. Like, he's no longer in contention for the TNT championship. So at this point, he's like, "Well, you cost me this title. I'm coming after yours." So throughout this whole thing, Taz is just talking trash. Ricky Starks is talking trash in commentary. These guys are the best at it. And Wardlow's getting more and more frustrated. He's winning all of his matches except for the ones that are costing him. And Taz the whole time is just saying, you're just a green Brian Cage. You're nothing like Brian Cage. He's the man. Poor man's Brian Cage, exactly, mine runner. You're a poor man's Brian Cage. You can't hold his jock. Like, he's the man. And so Taz, throughout this whole thing, says, "We can't find an opponent. We're announcing a tournament for the #1 contendership for the FTW championship.
Nice.
And he's, there's a lot of guys in this tournament that you wouldn't expect. And it's because Taz doesn't want Brian Cage to lose that title.
Look at this. Look at this. I love Will Hobbs' side of the tournament.
Right? If you look at Will Hobbs in the corner there, he's fighting Marco Stunt early. He buries Marco Stunt. John Silver has a chance against him, but he just buries John Silver.
Silver's great. We love Silver, yes.
We do, but Will Hobbs
size
is
disparity,
just different animal.
A good match, though.
And so with Wardlow, they see him as the biggest threat because he is. During his match with Shawn Spears, the whole time, they're just jeering him and they're hitting him on the side on the apron the whole time. They're just going at him because it's their tournament. They can do whatever they want. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you guys saw that match with Eddie Kingston before. He got counted out. Eddie Kingston wants to prove he can win clean, but Wardlow wants to prove, hey, man, that was a fluke. I got counted out against you. So he power bombs Eddie onto Butcher and Blade, and Eddie loses via countout against Wardlow for him to go to the championship against Hobbs. So basically what happens is when Hobbs and Wardlow come out, Wardlow's coming to the ring. Team Taz just brutalizes him. They attack him. They go off the whole time, and we don't know what's going to happen. Now Wardlow is doesn't have his legs under him. Mm-hmm. Hobbs is the guy that's clearly the favorite in this match now, and throughout the match, it's definitely Hobbs. He looks like he's going to be going against his own stablemate, Brian Cage. So now Team Taz is. Pardon?
I've wanted that in the past.
Oh yeah,
I've wanted to see Hobbs versus Cage.
So now you have Hobbs, either it's going to be Hobbs or Wardlow versus Cage. But what ends up happening is Team Taz gets a little too involved. They throw a steel chair because this is no DQ match. They throw in a steel chair, and Wardlow catches Hobbs an F10 right on that steel chair, concusses Will Hobbs, and he wins 3 count. It's done. So now it's going to be Wardlow versus Brian Cage. And now they're desperate. They're down one of their big men. He's out with a concussion. And so this whole time now you have Taz just ripping on Wardlow. You're dangerous. You don't belong in this ring. You hurt Will Hobbs. This is a wrestling match. You hurt him. This whole time he's just ripping on him. And Wardlow's just frustrated. Wardlow has a rematch with Shawn Spears, and they interfere in this match with Shawn Spears. Ricky Starks hits him on the corner and costs him the match. He gets rolled up and pinned. And Wardlow doesn't even look at Shawn Spears. He goes right after Ricky Starks, throws his head through a table. And this match with Brian Cage is a first blood match.
Oh, wow.
So you get to see Ricky Starks get opened up. He drags Ricky Starks by the hair of Taz, puts his face in his face and says, "This is what you wanted, Taz. First blood." Throws Starks down, and then you don't see Wardlow until he's back in that ring against Cage.
Wow.
Right. This is a big build. This is going to be weeks, probably months of this happening. So this
could be the rest of 2021 kind of build.
No doubt. Well, we wanted to see Wardlow's ascent in this year. All Team Dynamite download. We've been beating the drum that this needs to be a year where Wardlow breaks out, and we've wondered how that's going to happen. Right. We've talked a lot about him breaking away from MJF and that being a natural feud for him. But, this is a creative way to feature Wardlow's strength. Obviously, you've already kind of highlighted Wardlow breaking away from MJF, and you did it in a creative way there, Bonds, which then it's one thing for Wardlow to break away from MJF, but it's another to say what's next for that guy, because you can't just have him break away from such a great mouthpiece like MJF and then have no plans for him, right? And so I think this is a brilliant idea by you, simply because we've talked about it. If Wardlow's going to stand on his own 2 feet, this dude has babyface vibes. I know that there are people who are chomping at the bit to cheer for the WAR Dawg.
Yeah.
So you throw him in this kind of feud, and I know Bonds thinking about the hierarchy of heels in AEW. I know we all agree MJF is way up there, but Team Taz, Bonds is the captain of Team Taz fanboys here at Dynamite Download. Right you want to hear, if you want to hear Crayfish get on a rant, you'll bring up FTR or Pac. if you want to hear SPD get all excited, all you have to do is mention Murder Hawk, and he starts he just starts beaming. Bonds is a Team Taz slappy, so I know that you like the way your mind is running, dude. Not only will it feature him in the ring, but the commentator, like, Taz is trash talk and Starks is trash talk. It's going to bring the best out of Wardlow there, isn't it? I mean, he's going to put him in a situation where you're going to want to see him beat the piss out of these guys, right? I mean,
oh yeah, that's the whole point. They're so good at trolling him. They egg him on, and then it comes back to bite him because now Ricky Starks is out too. So you don't have Ricky Starks, you don't have Will Hobbs. You're down to Brian Cage and Taz with Hook there. That's
you could have Wardlow just destroy Hook too, randomly to have just make Hook just a sacrificial lamb.
Wardlow becomes the one-man wrecking crew that we all know he can be in this scenario. I think it's a beautiful idea because it showcases. I mean, obviously, seeing Wardlow go against Shawn Spears, who I know there's a lot of fans out in our community who want to see some Shawn Spears, but then having him have to go through Eddie Kingston, who we know is tough as nails, and then eventually get to Will Hobbs. I mean, what a warpath Wardlow would have to go on, and that alone, this tournament alone, would solidify what he's capable of. And I can't imagine seeing that visual of Wardlow versus Wardlow F10ing a guy like Will Hobbs. I mean, can you picture something like that? I mean, Will Hobbs is the powerhouse. Yeah. I think this would be something else, man. I don't know. I love the idea. And we've been clamoring for it, haven't we, SPD? We've been wanting to see the FTW belt mean something. And this would definitely, in your scenario, Bonds, did Wardlow come out on top and beat Cage?
So what ends up happening is a couple weeks go by. This is the main event of Dynamite or a pay-per-view. I didn't get that deep into it, but if we do a special episode of Dynamite, let's call it. Let's say it happens October. It's Oktoberfest. That's fine. It'll be the Oktoberfest version of Dynamite. There we go.
I like it.
Here we go.
And wearing leader hose.
So Wardlow's entrance, he's coming out. He's pumped up. Hook comes out with a 2x4 and hits him in the back of the knees with a 2x4 during his entrance. So this whole time, he's just getting assaulted by Team Taz. Every chance they can get, they're going after him. They don't want to lose that title. So now Brian Cage is just chomping at the bit. He's whooping on him this whole match because Wardlow doesn't have his feet under him. He's a big guy. You have to be able to, have your balance there, especially against a guy like Cage, who I would say the closest person to Wardlow in this business is Cage. Their body types are super similar. They're both big monsters that have good movesets. And Brian Cage is a true veteran as well, so you're going to have him just go after him. But, he's whooping on him. Taz is throwing in weapons for him. His first blood match, he's just beating on his legs like, you're not going to get up. You're not going to get up, Wardlow. He throws in his title. Brian Cage is holding it up like, this is my title. You're never going to get this. You're never going to have a chance again. This is your one chance, and you blew it. He's just ripping on him.
Yeah.
But then what is happening is Cody comes out when Taz is right about to interfere. Again, he puts him in a Taz mission, and Cage is like, what's going on? He's looking, hey, what's going on, right? This is how Wardlow comes back, picks up that title that Cage dropped when he was distracted. Cage turns around, Wardlow hits him right in the face, dead center of the forehead with his title. First blood.
I like it.
That's the end.
I like it. And one of the things, I mean, you talk about Cody being involved too. I mean, Cody, we all know, has kind of a vile history with Taz and Hook. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely motivation there for Cody to be kind of wanting to see Taz get get his comeuppance. I like that. Especially too, when you talk about this being an FTW tournament, we know that Cody has made it very clear that he does not respect that title. So I think, if he could handpick his own guy to represent that belt, and then all of a sudden this belt becomes legitimate now that it's Cody's guy, it would only make Team Taz that much more pissed off, right? Yep. I mean, all of a sudden this goes from being Taz's mission to legitimize the FTW championship. It gets flipped on its head, and now it's legitimate. Now it's a legitimate belt, but
it's not his.
Only because it's been taken from his crew, and it only fuels that anger in Team Taz that much more. I like the thought process there. And honestly, I'll put it this. It sounds very brutal. it sounds like it would be like SPD might be a little squeamish. I know SPD doesn't like the blood, but I think that, when you point Cage, and I don't know if you did this on purpose, Bonds, knowing the way your mind works, I think you did, but you just talked about it. Cage is such an industry veteran. Yeah. The way AEW utilizes their veterans, it's only a matter of time where they're going to want Cage to be involved in a feud where he kind of passes the baton onto the next generation. We see what Matt Hardy, what he's doing right now. We see Jericho. We see, the way they utilize their veterans, it's always to try to give the rub to the next generation. And this would be a great, I don't know if that was your purpose in this, but yeah. Brian Cage kind of losing and passing the FTW title and passing on that the Machine moniker, like that kind of thing onto the next generation would be absolutely interesting. I like where your head's at.
Well, plus I think that the reason I booked it as a first blood match as well is because Brian Cage can't look weak losing this belt. I don't want him to look weak losing this belt. He's a like you said, he's a veteran.
Dude's
he's
awesome.
Pro's pro. He's awesome. And so when you have him lose like this, you're also setting up potential for more matches. You're setting up another feud with these guys. So potentially more long-term stuff. So who knows? Thanks, guys.
Yeah, well, and like the next like big thing after Wardlow's done with Cage, I think the fans are clamoring for it. SPD, it's Wardlow versus Shaq.
Man.
Big money Shaq.
I love it, baby. All right. It's a great trend. It's a great booking by Bond segment. I really like where that's going, and I think that at some way, shape, or form, AEW does need to take both of these. You did a nice job of interweaving two big elephants in the room, so to speak. They need to legitimize Team Taz with some W's and some get a little bit of fierceness behind them. We've seen some beatdowns and things like that, but they need to really carry a little bit of weight. And the FTW title would be a great way to help push that. And it's only a matter of time, guys, before they go all in on Wardlow, man. The minute I saw that guy on screen, I was like, dude, when I saw that match with Cody and I saw what he's capable of, he's the closest thing to this generation's Brock Lesnar and that I've seen. And I think the dude is capable of so much. He's a star waiting to burst, on the scene. I think you did a nice job of solidifying both those things in one feud, one little angle that you did. That's booking by Bonds. Not bad, Bonds, for your first segment. I can't wait to hear next week's. Anybody?